Greetings, fellow commanders. For those that don't know me, I am Sovereign Winter. It is my honor to be a member and counselor of Canon Interstellar Research. To all those in Canon, you have been like a second family to me, and as such, I'd like to share this news with you early. For those in the Elite Dangerous community who will hear this news soon, I also wish to extend my heart, especially to those that make our community such a great place to be. This could get fairly long, so please bear with me. It has been a long time coming. But for those that would like a bottom line up front, I have taken every ship, every fighter, and every SRV to Beagle Point and Isham's Reach. On all those trips, I dropped 1 ton of Hutton mugs and 1 ton of Lavi and brandy at both locations as a tribute to those still on patrol in those respective ships. When I started playing Elite Dangerous, I did what I can only assume most starting players do. I stayed mostly near the bubble, dabbling in trade and combat, and after acquiring a Cobra Mark III, I took my first foray above the galactic plane, leaving the bubble, and I found my passion for exploration. I decided to take an unengineered Diamondback Explorer on a circumnavigation of the Milky Way, and while out in the black, I fell in love with exploring the galaxy. After my post got a little bit of attention, I made my first in-game friends, many of them saying how crazy I was for not only performing a circumnavigation in an unengineered ship, but also because of the fact that I had surface detail scanned every single body in every single system. Little did they know, I was already thinking crazier. I was planning to take every ship to Beagle Point. Now, an exploration like this could not be taken lightly. When I thought of the journey, I only had a Sidewinder Mark I, an Eagle Mark II, a Cobra Mark III, and a Diamondback Explorer in my fleet. Getting the rest of the ships was easy since my previous circumnavigation had gotten me elite status and roughly 4 billion credits. Exploring the various paint schemes available for the ships, I decided that I wanted each ship to have a common color for this expedition, and ended up on white, since it was available for every ship and is a color of peace, unity, and hope. It was after that I recalled that President Theodore Roosevelt had his own Great White Fleet that performed a circumnavigation around the globe in the early 1900s. I thought it was only fitting that for this exploration I had created my own White Fleet. I added a light blue or cyan engine color to each ship, which gave them kind of a frosty look, and along with the snowflake bobblehead on the dashboard, tied those things very nicely with my commander name. Finally, I added a pair of bobbleheads which I named Yuri and Valentina, after our early space explorers. They kept me company during this long endeavor. Over the course of the next 3 months, I got the needed ranks in the Federal and Imperial Navies to unlock their ships, unlocked all engineers, and got all the modules that I deemed critical to modify my fleet up to level 5. As I worked on the preparations needed to start the expedition, I started to plan out the trip itself. Taking every ship to Beagle Point was the goal, but how would I go about getting there? I started to refine the journey some more. If I was going to be taking every ship out towards Beagle, I might as well swing by Sagittarius A Star. Explorer's Anchorage had not yet been built, but its construction was complete prior to me getting everything ready, so I added it as a stopping point for rest and repair purposes. I then got to thinking, I had never been out to Colonia before, so why not swing by that direction as well? It's not too far off the beaten path and is another routine stop for explorers. Shortly after that, I saw a post regarding the Distant Worlds 2 expedition about HR 6164, which contains a tourist beacon known as The View. I saw it would fall on the path that I was planning, so I added it as a stopping point, completing my waypoints for the expedition. It wasn't until about halfway through the journey that someone pointed out that my ships actually had enough range to make it out to Isham's Reach as well. I had not even considered attempting it. I hadn't run the numbers. Since I was already done with so many ships, I didn't really think much more about it until fleet carriers came out. Since I was taking every ship to Beagle Point, and that would include the fleet carrier, why not bring the ships that had already completed the journey, bring them back to Beagle Point, and restart the journey from there, taking them out to Isham's Reach. This also allowed me to carry additional libations that I could leave out on Distant Moon. Now, Every expedition needs a purpose, but what was mine? Taking every ship to Beagle is certainly a crazy goal, but why was I doing it? Sure, I could go the because it's there route, but I knew that this entire expedition would take years to complete, and without a serious goal in mind, I would never be able to complete it. My mind would never let me do it. If I was going to take every ship to Beagle Point, I figured, why not make it each individual trip a tribute to the pilots who have fell while flying those individual ships? It made me think of something that I had seen on vacation. There's a monument to World War II U.S. Navy submariners that states, "Still on patrol," since, per U.S. Navy tradition, no submarine is ever lost. Those that don't return are considered to still be on patrol. Since spaceflight tradition historically follows Navy tradition, I figured this must also be true for those that are fallen out in the black. The question then was, what could I do to honor the fallen pilots? Why not a libation? Pouring out a drink for those that were lost to the void. It was then I thought to add the stop at Hutton Orbital, another famous stop and home of the Hutton mug, to hold the drink. After reviewing some other rare goods, I thought that Lavi and Brandy would be the best pick due to its connection to Lave, and thus the historical Elite Universe. Additionally, since brandy is best served slightly warmed, I thought it paired well with the Hutton mug, which is famous for keeping drinks just a little bit warmer. I had found my purpose. I would carry 1 ton of Hutton mugs and 1 ton of Lavi and brandy to Beagle Point and later Isham's Reach to leave at the edge of the galaxy for those pilots lost to the black on their eternal patrol, lest we forget. I had prepared the White Fleet, developed my plan to stop at some famous exploration sites, and thought up a purpose of honoring the fallen with a libation of brandy and mugs. All that was left to do was christen the ships and the expedition with names. For the fleet, I selected the names of the constellations that the explorers of old used to navigate the globe, each ship getting a name that fit with some criteria that I set out. Ships typically used for combat were named after animal-based constellations. Ships typically used for trading, named after water-based constellations. Ships typically used for carrying passengers were named after bird-based constellations, and those typically used for exploration were named after hero-based constellations. Additionally, Alliance ships were named after exploration tools, Federal ships after canines, and Imperial ships after religious or imperial icons. Of course, there were some exceptions for this. Probably the easiest way to see the White Fleet in their names would be to check out my Inara profile. The name of the expedition took more time, not being fully fleshed out until I was over halfway complete. As a huge fan of Tolkien's works, and with support from some fellow Tolkien lovers in the canon Discord, I came up with a name, There and There Again, or its full name, There and There Again, A Commander's Tale, and the Lord of the Fleet, as a tribute to the Lord of the Rings saga. I chose the Latin tagline, Recordadas por Astra, remembered by the stars, to allude to the nature of this tribute expedition. In total, I have spent years working on this trip. For the 6 years I've been in canon, I've been working on this expedition. I've been in game over 10,000 hours, traveled over 7 million light years, and have approached over 100 billion in credits from exploration data sales alone. That said, none of these metrics is what this trip is about. What this trip is about is remembering those we've lost and honoring our community. What started out as a solitary journey changed as the friendships I made grew and more people found out. The connections became real, and I received nothing but love and support. The in-game journey to place tons of Lavi and Brandy and Hutton mugs out at Beagle Point in Isham's Reach was more than just a memorial for others. It ended up being a journey for me. Each leg became a marker of my own growth as a person and a commander over these years. So, if you're ever out the edge of the galaxy and you stumble over some odd debris field, maybe you'll find a few canisters of mugs and brandy have been cracked open by those watching over us out in the abyss. Take a moment of respite and enjoy the view in silence, remembering them and thinking about your own friends and family, both in and out of our community. While this journey has certainly been one for the books, there's still so much left to see and do. I can't imagine myself not continuing to explore the Black, especially not before I found my own white whale, terraformable icy world. Maybe we'll even run into each other someday. If there's ever a CG that builds something out in the northern abyss as a memorial, look for the fully laden white ship, running back and forth from there to the bubble. To the great explorers before me, and those soon to follow, I am honored and humbled to be among your ranks as a fellow voyager among the stars. Godspeed, Commanders.